Limitless Mind Audiobooks.
Introduction. Why we resist life. Most people live as though life is a problem to be solved. We plan, calculate, and obsess over outcomes. We cling to the idea that if we could just control enough variables, money, relationships, reputation, even our own emotions, we would finally feel secure. But here's the paradox. The harder we try to control life, the more anxious and frustrated we become. Control is an illusion, and the tighter we cling to it, the more it slips through our fingers. Think of a river. If you dive in and try to push the water, you exhaust yourself. The current resists you at every turn. But if you learn to float, to move with the flow, the river carries you. It supports you without effort. Life is exactly the same. Yet most of us are terrified of letting go. We mistake surrender for weakness. We confuse trust with recklessness. So we resist. We fight against uncertainty. We wrestle with change. We cling to comfort even when it suffocates us. But resistance has a cost. It closes us off from the very freedom we seek. Life becomes smaller, heavier, more exhausting. And in chasing control, we miss the only thing that ever truly exists, the present moment. This audiobook is an invitation to live differently, to stop resisting and start flowing, to stop demanding answers and start living the questions, to stop treating life as a linear path and start experiencing it as a dance. In the chapters ahead, we'll explore illusions that keep us trapped, the illusion of control, the masks of ego, the false security of time. We'll also uncover the wisdom of opposites, the beauty of surrender, and the freedom that comes from living fully in the now. This is not a manual for escaping life. It's a reminder of how to be alive, to participate in the play of existence without needing to grip it so tightly, to realize that wonder, not certainty, is the heart of wisdom. So take a breath. Let go of the idea that you need to hold everything together. You don't. The river of life is already carrying you. Welcome to the Wisdom of Flow. Chapter 1. The Illusion of Control. We are taught from childhood that the key to a good life is control. Control your behavior, control your schedule, control your money, control your image. And on the surface, this makes sense. Discipline and order do create stability. But somewhere along the way, the lesson becomes distorted. We begin to believe that if we just control enough, we can avoid pain, chaos, or uncertainty altogether. That belief is the root of endless suffering. The truth is simple. Life cannot be controlled. The weather changes without permission. Opportunities arrive and disappear without notice. People come and go. Even your own body will one day fail, no matter how carefully you tend to it. And yet, we cling to the fantasy that with just a little more effort, we can bend the flow of existence to our will. Think of sand slipping through your fingers. The harder you squeeze, the faster it escapes. That is what control does to life. We try to hold tighter, to make sure outcomes go our way. But the tighter we cling, the more we notice just how little power we truly have. And that realization terrifies us. The irony is that in chasing control, we lose the very thing we wanted, peace. Instead of security, we create anxiety. Instead of freedom, we create pressure. Instead of harmony, we create resistance. What if the opposite were true? What if peace comes not from controlling life, but from cooperating with it? Imagine floating on a river. The current knows the way. You don't need to push the water or fight the waves. You simply adjust, respond, and let yourself be carried. The river doesn't need your control. It needs your trust. When you let go of control, you gain something far greater: adaptability. You begin to notice that uncertainty is not your enemy. It is the fabric of life itself. Growth, creativity, and love all thrive in the unknown. If everything was certain, nothing new would ever be possible. So the invitation is this. Stop clinging to the illusion of control. Stop wasting energy on trying to dominate the river. Instead, learn to move with it. Respond instead of resisting. Trust instead of grasping. The more you let go, the lighter life becomes. And the lighter life becomes, the freer you are to live it fully. Chapter 2. The Dance of Opposites. Life is built on contrast. Light only has meaning because there is darkness. Joy only feels sweet because sorrow exists. Success only shines because failure casts its shadow. We long for one side while rejecting the other, but the truth is, you cannot have one without the other. This is the dance of opposites. Most of us waste enormous energy trying to hold on to only half of reality. We want pleasure without pain, gain without loss, love without heartbreak, but life refuses to be sliced in half. It is a coin with two inseparable sides. You can't keep the head and throw away the tail. Think of music. Without silence between the notes, there would be no rhythm, no melody, no song. Or think of a painting. Without shadows, the colors would feel flat and lifeless. Contrast creates meaning. It is not the enemy. It is the essence. When we resist the negative, we also dull the positive. In trying to escape sorrow, we lose depth and joy. In hiding from failure, we weaken success. In avoiding endings, we miss the beauty of beginnings. Wisdom comes when we stop demanding one side of the dance and learn to move with both, to laugh and to grieve, to rise and to fall, to win and to lose. These are not contradictions, they are complements. Imagine a wave in the ocean. The crest rises only because the trough falls. They exist together, not apart. In the same way, your life will rise and fall, expand and contract. When you see this, you stop clinging to the highs or running from the lows. You learn to move with the rhythm. The dance of opposites isn't something to solve. It's something to experience. And when you stop fighting it, you find balance. Not the balance of stillness, but the balance of flow. Because the point of life isn't to stand rigid against the swing. The point is to move with it, to dance as it dances, to be part of the music of opposites. Chapter 3. Ego and the False Self. From the moment we are children, we're handed labels. Smart, quiet, troublemaker, gifted, shy. Then more labels come as we grow. Student, parent, worker, boss, friend, success, failure. These roles feel like who we are, but they are masks. They are not the whole truth. The ego is the mask we wear to play these roles. It is the story we construct about ourselves. I am this. I am not that. We cling to this story because it gives us the illusion of stability, of identity, of control. But like all masks, it hides more than it reveals. The problem isn't that we have an ego, everyone does. The problem is when we mistake the mask for the face, when we confuse the role for the real self. Imagine an actor who plays a part so well that they forget they are acting. They start to believe they are the character, even off stage. That is what most of us do with the ego. We forget that it is a performance, a costume worn for society, survival, and belonging. But underneath the mask, there is something deeper. A presence that existed before the labels. A consciousness that is not bound to roles, names, or images. That is the real self, the part of you that notices the mask being worn. The tragedy is that we spend so much of life polishing the mask. We fight to make it look better, shinier, more acceptable. We fear losing the role, so we over-identify with it. But the more we cling to it, the further we drift from the freedom of simply being. To see the ego for what it is, a mask, a story, is not to destroy it. It's to loosen its grip. It's to remember that you are not only the role you play, but the awareness behind the role. True freedom is when you can wear the mask when you need it, at work, in society, in relationships, but also set it down without fear. When you no longer confuse the character with the actor. Because the self you are seeking cannot be found in labels, titles, or images. It was here before all of that, and it will remain after all of that fades. Chapter 4. The Art of Flow. Life is not a battle to be won. It is not a puzzle to be solved. It is a current, moving, shifting, endlessly unfolding. The art of living is not in resisting that current, but in learning how to move with it. This is the art of flow. Flow doesn't mean passivity. It doesn't mean you sit back and let life drag you wherever it pleases. Flow is a partnership. It's listening, responding, adjusting. It's the surfer riding a wave, not controlling the ocean, but not powerless either. The surfer reads the water, balances on the board, and moves in harmony with forces larger than themselves. The same is true in your life. The more you fight against what is, the more exhausted you become. But when you learn to adapt, to respond with presence, you discover a strange kind of effortlessness. You still act, but the action feels natural, like breathing. Flow begins with attention. When you are distracted, you stumble against the current. But when you are present, you can sense where life is leading. That's why practices like mindfulness, breath work, and stillness matter. They sharpen your ability to notice, to feel the rhythm of what's happening rather than imposing your own rhythm onto it. Another element of flow is trust. You will never know the entire river. You can't see every bend or anticipate every rapid, but you can trust the current to carry you where you need to go. This doesn't mean you won't face challenges. It means the challenges are part of the journey, shaping you as you travel. Most people fear surrender because they think it means losing power. But real surrender is strength. It's the power to stop wasting energy on the impossible and to invest it where it actually matters. Instead of forcing life to obey you, you begin to cooperate with it. And here's the paradox. When you stop resisting, life often gives you more than you could have demanded. Opportunities appear, doors open, synchronicities align, not because you forced them, but because you were aligned enough to notice and act when they came. Flow is both an art and a discipline. It takes practice, it takes humility, it takes courage to stop fighting and start listening. But once you experience it, you'll never mistake resistance for strength again. Because when you are in flow, life feels less like a burden and more like a dance. You still move, you still strive, you still dream. But everything feels lighter, freer, more alive. Chapter 5. Time is an illusion. We spend most of our lives chasing time. We plan for the future, worry about the past, and measure our worth by clocks and calendars. Yet the more we cling to time, the more anxious and unsatisfied we become. The truth is, time is not what we think it is. The past is gone. It exists only as memory, a fragile collection of images and stories your mind replays. The future doesn't exist either. It is imagination, a projection your mind creates out of fear or hope. Neither memory nor imagination is reality. They are shadows. The only reality is now. This present moment is the only place life ever happens. The breath in your lungs, the sound in your ears, the heartbeat in your chest. Everything else is an echo or a guess. Yet most of us miss the present because we're trapped in the illusion of time. We carry regrets from the past like heavy bags, replaying mistakes we can never change. We borrow worry from the future, fearing outcomes we can never fully predict. And in doing so, we lose the only thing that is truly ours, this moment. Think of how children play. They aren't worried about tomorrow's schedule or yesterday's failures. They are completely immersed in the game, the laughter, the wonder. That presence is why childhood feels so alive. Somewhere along the way, we trade presence for pressure. We forget how to be here. To live in the now doesn't mean you abandon planning or foresight. It means you stop letting the illusion of time rob you of the richness of this moment. You still remember, but you don't cling. You still imagine, but you don't obsess. You use time as a tool, not as a prison. The art of living is not in counting hours, but in inhabiting them. A short life lived fully present is richer than a long life spent distracted. When you stop chasing the illusion of time, you discover freedom. The freedom to let the past rest. The freedom to let the future unfold. The freedom to live this breath, this heartbeat, this moment, as if it were enough, because it always is. Chapter 6. Freedom through surrender. Most people hear the word surrender and think of giving up. They imagine waving a white flag, admitting defeat, losing power. But true surrender is nothing like that. True surrender is freedom. Surrender means releasing the illusion that you must control everything. It is the choice to stop fighting life, stop resisting change, stop clinging to outcomes that were never guaranteed. Think of a surfer on the ocean. They don't conquer the waves. They don't demand the tide obey them. Instead, they read the water, adjust their balance, and ride the energy that's already there. Their power comes not from domination, but from cooperation. That is surrender, not weakness, but alignment. The same is true in your life. The more you resist, the heavier everything feels. The more you demand certainty, the more anxious you become. But when you surrender, when you choose trust over control, life begins to move with less friction. You stop wasting energy on the impossible and redirect it toward what actually matters. Surrender doesn't mean you do nothing. It means you stop doing what doesn't work, clinging, forcing, grasping. It means acting with clarity instead of fear. It means responding to life as it is, not as you demand it to be. And here's the paradox. Surrender often brings more strength than struggle ever could. When you loosen your grip, new possibilities appear. Opportunities you never noticed begin to open. Life becomes less about force and more about flow. Freedom through surrender is the freedom to let things unfold without constant tension. It is the freedom to trust the river you're already in, to know that you don't have to push the current. You only need to ride it. When you surrender, you don't lose. You win the only thing that matters: peace. Chapter 7. Play as Philosophy. We've been taught to treat life as a serious business. Work hard, climb higher, achieve more, earn respect, leave a legacy. Life becomes a ladder to climb, a puzzle to solve, a race to win. But what if life isn't a race at all? What if it's closer to a game, a song, a dance? Children know this truth instinctively. They play without needing a reason. They don't ask, what's the outcome? What do I gain from this? They play because playing itself is the reward, the laughter, the discovery, the pure joy of being in the moment. Somewhere along the way we lose this. We become so obsessed with goals, progress, and results that we forget how to simply experience life. We ask, what's the point? Instead of realizing the point is the experience itself. Think of music. You don't listen to a song just to get to the final note. You listen for the melody, the rhythm, the beauty of each moment as it unfolds. Or think of dancing. You don't dance just to arrive at a certain spot on the floor. You dance for the movement, the flow, the joy of the steps themselves. Life is the same. Its meaning is not found at the finish line, but in the act of living. When you approach life as play, something shifts, stress loosens, creativity blossoms. You stop trying to grip every second for utility and instead allow yourself to enjoy the ride. That doesn't mean irresponsibility or laziness. It means remembering that joy and wonder are not distractions. They are essential. Play is not the opposite of wisdom. Play is wisdom expressed freely. It is the recognition that life was never meant to be squeezed into rigid formulas. It was meant to be experienced, explored, and enjoyed. So ask yourself, when was the last time I truly played? When was the last time I acted not out of duty, not out of fear, but out of sheer joy of being alive? That is not wasted time. That is the essence of time well lived. Because in the end, life is not a problem to be solved or a mountain to conquer. It is music. It is dance. It is play. And the wisest thing you can do is join in. Conclusion. The way of wonder. Life was never meant to be controlled, conquered, or perfectly understood. It was meant to be lived. We've seen how control is an illusion, how opposites shape meaning, how the ego masks the deeper self, how flow frees us, how time is only memory and imagination, how surrender gives us peace, and how play reveals the heart of wisdom. All of these truths point back to one thing. Life is not a problem to solve. It is a wonder to experience. The more you resist, the heavier life feels. The more you chase certainty, the more it slips away. But the moment you let go, the moment you choose to flow, the weight falls off your shoulders. You discover freedom not in grasping, but in releasing. Wonder is the key. To see life not as a burden, but as a mystery. To wake each morning not with the demand for answers, but with curiosity for the unfolding day. To live not in fear of the unknown, but in awe of it. Stop asking life to be predictable. Stop demanding it be safe. Instead, let it be vast. Let it surprise you. Let it move you. Because when you stop trying to control the river, you finally become the river. And in that flow, you are free.